How often have you heard someone say, "It's not personal, it's business"? How often have you believed them? I used to be a believer, and it was among the reasons that I hated working from home. It violated a separation of church and state that I'd set up for myself. And while I'm not obligated to bring every part of me into my workplace, it does feel better to not have to separate myself. What swayed me more recently is the Research Achievers Workforce Institute has been doing into belonging at work. Beginning with a pioneering study in 2020 about the conditions that need to exist at work so people feel they belong, AWI has continued to study belonging and its business impact for the last 6 years. The research shows that when employees feel welcomed, known, included, supported, and connected, they have a strong sense of belonging and the business performs better. These are the pillars upon which you should build everything for your people. Employees with a strong sense of belonging are 6 times more engaged, 7 times more productive, 12 times more likely to recommend yours as a great place to work. And it's proof that when we invest in people, performance follows. It makes sense to put people first. We spend nearly a third of our waking lives at work, and for many, the workplace, wherever it happens to be, represents a huge system of support, because that's where the people are. Not long ago, I was in downtown LA at the last bookstore and was arrested by this image: the self in one direction and business in the other. Years ago, I was certain of that direction. These days, I believe there's another way. Welcome to A-Listed.
I'm really excited about today's conversation because we're joined by Connie Washington, a culture builder who believes in belonging and that people are the driving force behind every successful organisation. Connie has seen firsthand what happens when employees feel appreciated and what happens when they don't. So today we're going to explore what appreciation at work really looks like beyond surface level recognition, and how leaders can create environments where people feel seen, valued, and motivated to do their best work. Let's get into it.
Well, welcome, Connie. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So can you tell us a little bit about your role and what Progressive does?
I sure can. My role is Vice President of People, and what that entails is I lead our HR business partners, and then I also lead our culture and engagement initiatives, as well as inclusion and belonging at the organization. So I have a fun job that I really enjoy. And what Progressive Leasing does is we offer access to items that people need that they may not be able to get, like furniture, appliances, those types of things. And perhaps they may have an issue with credit or something along those lines. So we have virtual lease-to-own options that offer that access to people that may not otherwise have access to some of the things they need in daily life.
You've built your career around people and culture, and I'd love you to reflect on how that shows up for you today and really over the last 10 years at Progressive Leasing, but also where does appreciation fit in the mix of all of that?
Oh, that's an excellent question. I think it's so important because life is hard, work is hard, and people are doing they're doing the work with a lot of things that they may be dealing with in their personal lives. And I think taking the time to just thank people, to recognize what they're doing for you and for your organization, it goes such a long ways. People don't receive appreciation and recognition on a daily basis. And, they're not at the grocery store and they don't say, "Hey, thank you for shopping here." It's kind of like, yeah, do your thing. People just don't. I feel like we're moving so fast and we don't take the time to just say thanks. Thanks for that little or big thing that you've done. So I think in the workplace, it's critical because people have a lot going on and the things they have going on often follow them to work. And so maybe they're having a little bit of a tough day, or maybe they're a little bit off. And just, taking the time to talk to the person, to kind of get to know what's going on, but most importantly, to say thank you. Thank you for the work you're doing. Thank you for that project you worked on, or for helping out that employee. Just taking the time to say thank you. I think that's a little bit of a lost art in our day and time. And people need that. I don't think we realize how much people need it, but I think they really need it.
You never really know what's going on behind the scenes for people, and it's so important just to focus on the moment and make sure that they're having a great experience in that moment. That's the piece you can control. You may not be able to control everything else that's going on behind the scenes, but you can control how someone feels in the moment that is right in front of you.
Every day is a good day to demonstrate to someone that they matter. But I wonder, you were reflecting, Connie, on life is hard, work is hard. I feel as though we're in a moment, at the moment. Has there ever been a more important moment to let someone know that they matter?
Life's a little bit heavy right now, and people are processing a lot. And it may show up at work. Maybe somebody's going to be a little bit off, or maybe they weren't as pleasant, or maybe you walked down the hall or you got on the Zoom, they didn't say anything. Talk to them, ask them, see how they're doing, check in. And then as you're doing that, take the time to thank them. It could be a small thing, but it goes so far when people, are dealing with challenging times. And there's just a lot happening right now. So I think this is the best time to take a moment, take a breath, and say thank you. I see you and I appreciate you.
It's so important. How do you define a true culture of appreciation beyond the programs that you run?
I think you feel it. I think you feel it when you walk in the door, when you get on the Zoom or Teams or whatever. I think you feel it. I think if you've got a healthy culture, there's lightness, there's joy, there's, and not every day, because every day, sometimes they're hard, but I think overall it's a heart thing, and you can feel for lack of a better word, the love. When people love what they do and love where they work, it shows with how they interact with each other and how they interact with the customer. It's going to be a better experience for all. So I do think that when you are in a healthy culture, you'll feel it by the interactions that you have with the people that work there. And you'll feel it when it isn't there.
How does appreciation connect to diversity, equity, and inclusion?
When you are recognized and acknowledged, that builds a sense of belonging. When you're ignored, when you're not seen, you're not acknowledged, you're not recognized, you don't know if you belong. And oftentimes, in certain situations, just the way that it is, people that may come from diverse backgrounds or what are considered marginalized individuals may not be at the top in an organization, so they may be unseen. They may be doing a lot of good hard work, but nobody sees it or nobody recognizes it. I have an example. Years ago, we had a janitor at a place I worked at, and he busted his rear. And I remember sitting down with some of our folks saying, look, if he doesn't do what he does, none of us get to do what we do. We don't have a clean building. If the trash isn't taken out, if the kitchen isn't cleaned, we don't have a good place to work. So everybody's important, and people may not see him, may not recognize him walking around doing his work, but his work is critical. And so I often try to take the time when I see our folks that come and clean to make sure I tell them thank you and tell them I see you. I see the work you're doing and you matter. And I think that that's so important, and that can get lost. And, often the opportunities are not available to people of diverse backgrounds. So then they don't get that recognition, but they're doing the work, and sometimes the hard work. So I think it's really important to see those individuals and for them to know that they've been seen.
Yeah, you've mentioned so many of the Achievers Workforce Institute belonging model. Just in that one example, we talk about feeling welcomed, known, included, supported, and connected. And appreciation or recognition plays into every single one of those at some degree. And your example of the janitor and making sure that they are known for what they do, that they feel included and supported and are a part of the organisation, plays into every part of that belonging model. Is that sort of how you think about employee experience, is making sure everybody has that same experience with belonging?
That's our goal. I don't know that we always achieve it, but that's our goal, is that by you coming to work for our organization, that you feel like you should be here and you have a place here. And you are important to us and to what we do. We don't always get to tell people that, and I don't know that people always feel that, but I think that's how you're going to get the best work from people, is them knowing that I'm valued. I'm valued in this place that I come to, and I spend 8, 9, 10 hours a day, either working from home or in that building, but I'm given a lot of my time and life to this organization. I think it's important for us as an organization to recognize that and be appreciative. Yeah, we get to give everybody a paycheck. Sometimes they get bonuses, and all those things are great. But nothing beats somebody telling you, your leader or someone saying, thank you, that was a phenomenal job you did on that. I know the sacrifice you made. I see you and I appreciate you. That goes so much farther than just getting that check every 2 weeks. We appreciate it, but it's those words of affirmation that can really kind of take it over the top and build that excitement to continue to do good work.
So maybe share a personal moment, if you can, of a moment where you felt seen and valued, and the thing, whether big or small, that it mattered because someone said so.
Yeah, it's interesting. We have an event every year. We call it Prog Leadership Week, where all of our leaders come in to the facility, the headquarters, and we spend a couple of days together, working together. And at one a couple of years ago, I had recently received some recognition from our community on some DE&I efforts that I had been working on. And our CEO, as we were winding down, we were kind of recognizing some people. And then, he called me out. He's like, oh, and I want to thank, and I was embarrassed because, we just don't know how to receive recognition. Oh my God, this is so weird. But it just meant so much that he took the time, that he knew what I had done. And that's in and of itself, yay, he knows, but that he took the time to recognize that in front of the entire leadership team of the organization. And I didn't see it coming. And, it felt really good that he took the time, that he knew about it, because, he's got a lot on his plate. Somebody took the time to tell him about it, and then that he took the time to say something about it to the rest of the organization. So felt really good.
Do you have a sense of the impact that might have had for you? Is it wind in your sails? Is it keep on keeping on? What is it?
I mean, I felt seen. You're doing things, you're out there, and it's hard work sometimes, and it's, it was a challenging time with some of the DE&I efforts that we were, going through at that time, and things that had been going on, and, that he took the time to value that, and to recognize what the community had recognized, and to thank me for it. Just felt really good, and it did give me kind of a boost to keep keeping on, keep doing the work, and knowing that it matters. I knew that it matters, but I was appreciative of him taking the time to recognize that it mattered.
What do you think happens to cultures where there's an absence of appreciation?
People will still come to work, they'll still do the job, but how they feel doing it and how they feel about the organization they're doing it for shifts. And they don't have that attachment oftentimes. I think that when your leadership or your peers take the time to say thank you and to recognize, it just builds that cohesion that we're in this together. They saw me, I saw them. When you're all just doing your job, nobody's paying attention, nobody's really cares, I think after a while, people stop caring a little bit. And then I think that translates in the customer experience and other experiences. So making sure your people feel good is important, because they're the ones talking to your customer, the community, whomever, and they represent your organization. So, and it's not just feel good. You want it to be, you want the recognition to matter, but taking the time to say thank you, good job, phenomenal work you did there. It's huge. It just is. We just do not do it enough. I'm preaching to the choir, I'm sure, but we get busy and we just don't do it as much as we should. And people's hearts need that.
Our own CEO, Scott Landers, talks a lot about the human soul. And he says, what do you do with the soul? You got to feed it. You got to care for it. I'm just curious, how does heart talk show up elsewhere in the work that you do for your people?
It shows up by me digging a little deeper and not being intrusive, but having my team know that if something's going on, they're safe to talk to me about it. They're safe to, it's that psychological safety, that I'm safe to say the good, I'm safe to say the bad, I'm safe. And when you're safe, you'll tell the truth. When you're not safe, you might not. And so I think that it's important for us to create those psychologically safe spaces where people can say what they need to say and don't feel, oh, if I say it, I might get in trouble, or I might whatever the thing is. I'm your leader, and I'm not over you. I'm just the person who gets to help lead you. I'm your leader, so what can I do to help? What can I do for you to be able to show up your truly authentic self? And even on the days when you're not in a good space, to be able to tell me, I'm not in a good space, and I can support them in that. And that's the heart. That's the heart, is leading the whole person, not just the manager, the call center person, whatever, but whoever they are fully, that's who we lead. And when we recognize that and we take that seriously, we can have an impact in their lives that can change them forever in a positive way or a negative way.
So I spend a lot of time looking into psychological safety, particularly one, it very much interests me in the role that recognition plays in psychological safety, but two, in Australia we have legislation around psychological safety that includes inadequate reward and recognition. So Safe Work Australia has identified inadequate reward and recognition as a hazard. Things like bias, inequity in recognition, fairness. What role do you think recognition plays in psychological safety, and what happens if we unintentionally exclude people?
If I appreciate you and I verbalize my appreciation and I'm sharing that with you, I feel like that creates a relationship where I care because I took the time to say thank you. And maybe I have to take the time to say, hey, when you did that, might want to pivot and do it different next time. It's not, sometimes we have to have those difficult conversations too. But when they know you genuinely care about them, they feel more comfortable telling you, hey, you know what I did? I screwed that up. And knowing that it's not the end of the world, that it's, okay, what do we got to do to make sure it doesn't happen again? And keep it moving. But I know oftentimes people, they do something wrong and then they get beat up. So they're like, okay, either I'm not going to take a chance so I don't do anything wrong, or the next time I do something wrong, I'm not going to tell anybody because I don't want to get beat up. But if you create that space where, hey, just let's figure this out. You've got that relationship because you have built that trust, because you've acknowledged them, you've recognized them, you've appreciated them. They know you care. And so if you care, I'm safe to say, hey, this is going on and I'm not sure what to do. Can you help me? Because you've built that. But it takes effort. It takes work. It's not automatic day one. You have that. That takes time for me and you as a leader to build that relationship so that they do feel safe.
That 100% aligns with the research we do at AWI. It's that the support, the relationship, the trust that is built between a leader and a direct report through recognition, through one-on-ones, through coaching, through development, is absolutely key to that relationship. How do you think organisations can make appreciation more inclusive and more culturally aware? We don't all like to be recognised in the exact same way.
I think by recognizing that everybody doesn't have the same experience. And that we're all different. And it may not even be, how you identify culturally or something along those lines. Our experiences, how we've grown up, where we grew up, our age. There's so many things that, are unique about us. And recognizing it. It's okay to recognize someone's, culture. Like we try to we try to make that safe and welcoming at Prog. We have employee resource groups where people can learn more about each other and learn more about each other's experiences, and then that builds that appreciation for that. I attended our Asian American and Pacific Islander group put on an event a couple of years ago, and they had little areas where you could go learn about the different cultures in the Asian community. It was fantastic. I learned so much, and they had that pride in being able to share their culture at work and tell me the cool things, that how they dress or the food, and you could just see the pride in them to be able to stand at that table and show who they are, this piece of their life that nobody knows about, that they got to bring that to work and talk about it and share it with their coworkers. It was the coolest thing. And those kinds of things, again, communicate that you matter, and who you are matters. Your experience, your background, your culture, what you bring to the organization as a whole human matters. And being able to recognize that in the workplace builds that inclusion, and that I do belong here. This is a place where I can be for a long time, because they care about every aspect of who I am, including the things that make me different from others. And that is A-OK. Matter of fact, it's exciting. It makes us a better place to be.
It does, and it also helps you understand why people are the way they are. If you can understand more about their background, their culture, how they were brought up, the things that matter to them, some people make a lot more sense when you can understand where they've come from and how they operate.
Yeah, and we had an experience last year where one of our Hispanic employees, we had an event, and they kind of talked about their culture, and one of the senior leaders who's Hispanic said how he used to try to change his accent, but he stopped. He's like, this is who I am, and my accent is part of me. And one of our employees she said, that is exactly how I have felt up until right now, and I've been embarrassed about my accent. I'm not going to be embarrassed anymore, and I'm not going to try to change it. It is part of me, and it makes me who I am. And I thought, wow, I mean, the pressure that is now off of her, that she can just talk in her genuine, authentic voice and not be ashamed of that, was amazing. And so those are the little things that it brings you such pride that at the workplace we had an event that kind of enlightened her to be like, you know what? I can be me, and I don't have to pretend to be somebody else, which, again, then she can do her best work.
How incredible. I can't imagine the cognitive load of trying to change your accent every time you speak. That's way better things to think about than worrying about how I sound with my accent. That it must be exhausting. Yeah. Why do you think so many organizations struggle to make appreciation consistent?
If they don't have a formal way of doing it, it's kind of so I think that's important, like having a system. The system brings order to your recognition, and it gives people consistent tools that they can use. And then it also makes it a priority. Look, we're investing in this tool. We're providing this tool for you. This is important to us. And so I think that's part of the challenge organizations have, is they don't think they have the funds to have a system. So then it's just not happening. But what they're losing by having that lack of recognition probably costs a lot more than what that system would cost that will help them build the culture of recognition. But I think it also oftentimes just isn't a priority. I don't think people really stop and think about what that experience is of all of the workforce, from the lower levels to the higher levels, how that recognition and that appreciation is such a driver for good work. And it can be a detractor if it's not there, because people just don't feel like it matters whether I'm here or not. If I'm here today, yeah, I get the work done, but did they really care? I don't know. When you've got that recognition tool that you can utilize, then you get to tell them in all kinds of different ways, even their birthday, their anniversary. We all get an opportunity to say happy birthday, to say happy anniversary. And you don't think that kind of stuff matters, but I think for myself, when I see something like that, I kind of get a jolt of, is it dopamine, that I'm like, oh, they took a minute to, that's cool. It just changes your day a little bit.
You talked about a number of different ways to ensure someone feels seen. Do you think there's a most underrated way or underrated form of appreciation?
The thank you. The thank you. I think we get so busy working and doing things, and you're on to the next and the next and the next. You forgot about that worker, that person who spent 16, 24, 40 hours on that thing, and you never got it. You never said thanks. You never said thank you for that work that they did or that help that they provided. Just saying thank you. I do one-on-ones with my team, and I try at the end of each one, I do them every week, to say thank you. Thanks for the work, thanks for what you did this week. Thank you for the work you're doing. Thank you, because I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy, and I know there's days where they're doing stuff that I'm not seeing, but it's hard. And so I try to remember to say thank you as we're talking about everything else, because I really do appreciate, I couldn't do it without them. Could not do it without them, and I know the impact they have as HR folks on the entire organization, so I want to make sure their cup is full as they continue to do the work.
Another busy group is your people managers. Every one of your people managers is busy today. Is there something that you would recommend your people managers do tomorrow to better appreciate their people?
It sounds crazy, but to stop for a minute, take 10 minutes to think about your team. Really think about your team. Sounds like a crazy thing. Like, of course I think about my team, but do you really think about them? Okay, there's Brian. What's going on with Brian? How's he doing? How's he really doing? He seemed let me just touch base. Or I just forgot that project, he finally finished it. Just thinking. Because we just get on that hamster wheel and we go, and we have got to slow down and think and thank. I think if they can think and thank, there's something they can thank each person for. And listen, if they're still on your team, they deserve a thank you. Oh, maybe they're not the star performer. They're still on your team. They deserve a thank you. Each person. And I don't think we do it enough. And we don't want it to be something that's not heartfelt, like thank you, thank you, thank you. A heartfelt thank you. But it means so much. I know when I've had those tough days and my leader says, hey, thanks for that, I'm like, oh, she recognizes it. You do. We're human. At the end of the day, we're human. We're humans trying to be, but we're also humans. We're human beings, but we're human doings. We're doing stuff all the time. And is anybody recognizing that? If they're not, time to do a little bit of a checkup.
I think it's such an important call out. In our research, we're obviously looking at the impact on frequent recognition and how it makes someone feel better and perform better. And we're advocating often for managers, at least monthly, to recognize their employees meaningfully. But I believe, and I think Emma's in lockstep here, that every single day, your people are doing something to make a difference in the lives of their colleagues and customers. And monthly, just holy smokes, I'm going to wait 29 more days before I say thank you. Every day feels like a day to say thank you. I love that line about if someone's still on your team, today's a day to say thank you. That's great.
And also the taking a moment every day to reflect. It's to say thank you, to recognize somebody is a 30-second thing. Take a moment to think about it, and then thank them is 30 seconds. And that can be through a platform, a text message, a phone call, an email. It doesn't matter how it's delivered. It's 30 seconds. We all have a lot to do, but we have 30 seconds, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
This is a topic that is not going to go away. Like hybrid remote work, return to office, we're still talking about it. How do you think that hybrid or remote work has changed appreciation?
I think it requires much more intentionality because you don't run into somebody down the hall or in the bathroom, and you don't have those drive-bys. It's intentional. If you're in a meeting, now you're on the Teams or the Zoom or whatever platform you're using, that interaction. And the challenge with that is you don't feel energy. You don't feel it the way you do person to person. So you really have to be more intentional and paying closer attention to the things that they're saying or not saying to really understand how folks are doing. And again, take the time to say thank you. Yeah, they're across the country, but they're still working for you. So it just requires, I think, more intentionality. And that's where the platforms can really be beneficial, because it's a level playing field. We're all in that platform no matter where we live. So I can send an attaboy to anybody, anywhere. And that makes it so much easier when you have a platform to utilize than trying to remember this person's in New York, that one's in California, this one's in Kansas. How do I, you can shoot them some recognition points, and they can get whatever it is that they want where they live, as opposed to trying to send them a box of chocolates or something. Let them choose what it is that they want. And so that's been great, because birthdays now, we utilize the system. They get their points, so then they don't get this gift we send that they can't use. Like, well, great, I'll just stick that in the other pile of other stuff I can't use. They get to buy something that they really want to buy. So it's much more challenging, but having the right tools levels the playing field on whether they're hybrid, whether face to face, however it is you're leading somebody. Having the right recognition tool helps.
It does, and I've been doing a lot of work on the concept of rituals. So we want to make sure that recognition is meaningful and authentic. So automating recognition is not always the answer, but if we can build things into our day, that 30 seconds at the end of the day to reflect, maybe it's the nudge you get through a platform that it's somebody's birthday so that you can send them a note. Those rituals that you can create into your day are exactly what is going to support hybrid remote working or face-to-face. There's nothing worse than coming into the office and then realizing it's the person you've been sitting next to for the last 3 hours and it's their birthday. If you've got those rituals in place, that you've got that awareness, that people will feel much more known and connected to you, and you don't have the awkward moment of forgetting somebody's birthday.
Absolutely. It's the worst thing when you've been on 5 calls and didn't realize it. But now I get that little nudge. I'm like, that's right. I got you. I got your card. I'm good.
That's it. Absolutely. What trends are you seeing in how companies are approaching recognition today?
I don't know that they've figured it out. I think everybody's consistently trying to figure out how to keep people engaged and happy in their jobs. I think that, where I live, there's a few companies that have developed these recognition platforms. So that there's definitely a need for it, but I think that companies are still, I don't know that it's still prioritized the way that it should be. Make sure that you're recognizing. I think there might be some of the old school thinking of, oh, well, they get a paycheck, they should know that I appreciate them. They got a job, they should know that I appreciate them. Well, we've got 4 to 5 different generations in the workplace, and everybody is different. Every generation likes recognition different. So it's not a one size fits all. So I think that companies just have to continue to understand that at the heart of it all, it's people. And people have needs and heart needs. Even the ones who you're like, I'm not sure they have a heart. They have a heart. Maybe there's been some things that have tainted it a little bit. I go back to, at the end of the day, we're humans. And we need, it is a need to be recognized and validated. It is a human need. And if we don't get that, we'll go somewhere where we can get it. And so if companies want to keep the great folks that they have, they've got to make sure that they're taking the time to recognize the good work that they're doing, and to just appreciate them. Stop moving so darn fast and take a minute and say thank you. And I think it's been a challenge for a long time. It'll continue to be, because we've just got so much we're doing, and we're moving in so many, and then there's all the priorities pulling for our attention, and oftentimes that recognition or appreciation gets pushed to the wayside because we've got stuff to do. not realizing that if we did more appreciation and recognition, the stuff we have to do will get done better and faster because people will be more engaged in the work that they're doing.
So before we leave each other today, not forever and ever, I want you to take a moment, if you don't mind, and I'd like you to think a little bit and tell us a little bit about, do you ever stop and think about the legacy that you are leaving through the work that you do? Because your passion for attending to the needs of the people that you work with and for is crystal clear. Do you ever stop and think about your legacy in that way?
I do, and I hope that the legacy that I leave is that people will think, whether you're an employee, a leader, whoever you are, you will think about the human that you're interacting with and think about the heart of that person. And, all the other facade, all the other stuff, really who that person is. And did they know that you care? Did they know that you cared about them? And, as a leader, I've had leaders that have left a mark on me that'll be there forever, good and bad. I don't ever want to be the person that left a mark on somebody, a negative mark. And so that's my legacy is if the people that I connected with can feel the love that I have for them, then great. Because I just don't think there's enough of that these days. Yep. You're supposed to say that at work? I don't know, but I am. Because at the end of the day, we're humans with hearts. And I want them to know that I cared. And I cared deeply. And I was a person that they could come to and share the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I would be there to help them.
My wife often says all the feels. So I have all the feels from our conversation today. Emma, a final question or thought from you?
I love the heart-based leadership that you talked about. You reminded me of a book I read a little while ago by, I think it's Kirsten Ferguson, around the head and the heart. And she talks about the connection between the head and the heart, but leading with heart and human first. And I think probably the one thing we haven't spoken about today for the first time on our podcast is AI. And the world we're operating in today, the economical conditions, the political climate, and the transformation that's coming with AI, that human first leadership is exactly what's missing from so many organizations. And I felt that from you today. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I'm happy you felt that, because that I do believe that's important. And AI will never replace our hearts. So very important.
Thanks for being with us. This has been another episode of A-Listed. Welcome back to A-Listed. I loved our conversation with Connie Washington, especially because of her focus on heart-forward leadership and people. I think that everyone's feeling a little bit anxious these days about the impending robot invasion. And in an interview with the New York Times, author George Saunders said, "Human contact is the only thing that matters." He's right, and so is Connie. This is as true in our personal lives as it is in our professional ones. A resume may boast of dollars earned or saved, but it's the relationships I have with people that are the real story of my time at work. The tough parts, the exciting parts, the boring parts are all made better because of people. When I find myself in a hole, I turn to people to help me out. When I push away from my desk because I need a break or I've hit a brick wall, I'm always in search of people. To me, there has never been a more important time to hone in on human contribution. In a moment defined by a rapid pace of change, our greatest advantage isn't what we automate. It's how we deeply connect, how we understand, and how we show up for one another. Thank you for joining us on another episode of A-Listed.